You just walk right out the door. Don't wanna do this anymore. Now I'm lost without you. You drive me crazy out my mind. How'd you do this every time? Now I'm lost without you. Used to be the one I talk to when I'm sad. Can't you see now tainted love is all we have? Our issues run so deep. Now when I try to sleep I feel so bad. I should leave and by the time it's done I'll be gone.
Welcome back to the garage. I say garage, we're actually in the Alfa. But welcome back to Bluudys garage. Today's video, I need to fix the Alfa. Shocker, like shocker. Everyone knows you need to fix Alfas. Now the issue we've got is the engine management light's been on a while, and I know it's something to do with the EGR. So I've got my code reader, we're gonna get the proper code up, and then we're gonna see if we can actually fix it. So then it's not up anymore. Why does my bonnet of my Super look on the piss? Anyway, I digress. So, welcome back guys, make sure you like and subscribe as always. So, we'll have a quick read of the actual code. Please wait. Yeah, I know. Yeah, recode, current. You liar. What do you mean don't have any codes? It does have a code. What was that ECU2? Read codes, current codes. There we go. EGR flow insufficient detected. So, because I've not looked at it yet, and someone has played around with this car a little bit, because it had a K&N air filter in it, it's either blocked or blocked. Blocked as in full of soot, or blocked as in they put a blanking plate on it. So we need to have a look, because we need to remedy this, you know what I mean, because then I can drive without an engine management light on, because it's really starting to annoy me. So I've got the bonnet popped. I'm also going to put the car in the air, because I've noticed some oil on the road, and I think it's from the Alfa, because it's the only car that I've had there, and no other cars really parked there, so I think it's from this, and I'm a bit concerned. So I'm going to get it up in the air as well and have a look for this oil leak. Have a good. So I've definitely got an oil leak. Now, can't see anything from the top. I know this is wet, but that's from the injectors. But underneath, you can see that, oh, this is wet. All onto the exhaust. And it's blowing back. And then I'm trying to look up here where it's actually coming from. First off, I thought it was coming from out of there, which is where the dipstick tube goes in. Which it might be, but then it seems a little bit higher up as well, but not much higher up. I wondered if it was coming from the oil drain, roughly in the middle of the screen now, but again, not too sure. This is soaking wet. What I need to do is dry it up with some rag, get the engine running and then see what happens. I think, wow, this has pushed oil everywhere. Bloody gal, I just hate cars. Alright, I need to try and diagnose this. So I fixed the oil leak, but the engine's running and I want to show you where it was and what I had to do, but hopefully you can hear me. If not, I'll turn the engine off after and explain. So it was leaking out of there. That bolt was loose and this wasn't sat in straight. So I've tightened up the bolt and I've knocked it in straight. Took a bit of finagling because you can't really put any pressure on it. And I got no idea if you can hear me, so I'm going to stop the engine and do that again. Right, so I've got no idea if you heard what I said. So that bit there is where the dipstick, that's the dipstick tube there, obviously drops into the sump to check the oil level. Now, this bolt here was loose. Don't know why, it's not something I've touched. Even when I did like the turbo and that, I didn't even touch that because I didn't even take the dipstick out. And the dipstick was now not sat straight because that was loose. So I had to tap this in with a hammer from up above just to try and get it straight because you can't really put any pressure on it, and then tighten up the bolt. And it took a bit of testing and trying and stuff like that. Eventually we got there. It was really annoying. It got to the point where it was just spraying oil out the back. And I was like, what do I do with this? But I carried on tapping it so it's nice and straight and flush and no more oil leaks. And now it's time to crack on with the EGR valve. So let's get the EGR valve, well, let's have a look at it and get it off and see what the situation is with that. So this engine, the 1.9 engine, is in lots of different cars, lots of different varieties of cars. It's originally a Fiat engine, obviously it's in the Alfa, it's in the GMs, so that's Vauxhall and SAAB and whatever else it is in. So the thing we're looking at today is this little bad boy just on the back of the engine. This is the EGR valve. EGR means exhaust gas recirculation, so it does exactly what it says. It recycles some of the exhaust gases, puts them back into the inlet to be burnt again. That lowers the emissions of the car, better for the polar bears and everything else. Now what normally happens is because it's recirculating the soot from diesels, it gets clogged up and then gets blocked and then brings on the lights. So what people have done in the past, they've removed it, put a blanking plate in, put it back on, plugged it in, which is great because it stops it from filling up with soot, but then that brings the engine management light on like I've got at the moment for restricted flow, so there's no flow getting into the car, which is then not good. So then what other people have done is they've got a blanking plate, they've drilled some holes in it which still allows just enough gas to pass. It slows down the clogging up of the EGR, but it keeps the engine management light off. And that is what I'm hoping we're going to do today, providing we can clean it up and fix it and whatever. So to undo it, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts which takes it off, but then there's that bolt and that bolt which is for the pipe underneath. Now looking at that pipe underneath and looking at this joint here, I don't think there's a blanking plate on it. It doesn't look like it. We will be putting one on, that's for sure, but we'll have holes in it so it will still flow, keep the light off. So right, I need to get some 10 mils, 12 mils, 10 mils, something like that, 10 mils, and start undoing them. But first I need to come pick my fiance up from work, so I'll be back shortly. Disconnect these 2 bolts first. Be careful when you've took them out that you'll probably drop a gasket somewhere in the engine, so just be wary of that and obviously catch it. So I'm going to get them 2 bolts out and then I'll come back to you. So there was no gasket on there, which is not a good sign, so I think this has been off already. There's a nut on the end of here which holds this bracket on, which holds the engine cover. Now the bottom nut was missing, so I'm already thinking this EGR valve has been off in its life, which it's got 160,000 miles on it, so I'm not surprised, to be fair. So I'm just going to undo these bolts now and we'll get the unit off, and it leaves us the electrical plug at the end to disconnect. I'll do that last. And there goes my ratchet. So I've undone the 4 bolts, as you can see we are now loose. It is pretty sludgy in there, so I imagine it's blocked shut. There was a gasket on the bottom, so I've saved that so I can reuse that. And there is a gasket also on here, but that's stuck to the head. So I'm going to clean up the crap on that. Yeah, look at this. That's not the reason why I got... It's not the reason why I got my screwdriver. The screwdriver is to pull this yellow tab out so far so I can undo the clip, and then we can take this into the garage and clean it out properly. So here we have one very caked up, dirty ass EGR valve. There's some light on it. It's certainly caked up, whether it's blocked or not. Well, it must be blocked, it's reading it. Well, it's reading there's not enough flow, so I'm going to get this in the advice here, and we're going to start scraping it out. I don't want to start putting any fluids in there yet until I've scraped most of it out, otherwise it's just going to make a paste. And it's just a pain in the ass. So, EGR valves, eh? What a load of crap. Look at all this nastiness. So it's going to be hard to show you, but I've been tapping out the inside of this one. You can now see that I've scratched all around the sides and everything that's, you can now see the spring and the mid for the valve. These are a bit wet and slushy, as you can see, but I'm still not putting any cleaning fluid in. This is just the oil from inside the engine. So I grab the camera and show you all this powder. Lots of it, loads of it, all that soot, that's what's come out. Most of that, the powdery stuff, come out over here. So it was definitely clogged up, and that's obviously why it wasn't working. So now I'm going to get some white spirit in there and clean it out, maybe a bit of brake cleaner, carb cleaner if you've got it, get it all cleaned up, and then hopefully I'll show you it all looking much better than it is now. So I've been cleaning it up with some fluid now. Get the torch in there. Get that way on. It is much cleaner inside than it was, and the valve should be able to move. I'm going to see if I can dry out a bit more of the blackness, but on the whole it's much cleaner than it was. Now, because the fault was insufficient flow, I don't feel like I can stick my blanking plate on yet, because then I won't know if this is working. So I'll have to put this back on the car and dry for a bit, and fingers crossed no more engine management light, but I don't know at the moment, so I'm going to have to put it back on. Also, what I've noticed is there's a sticker on here that says it's a remanufactured guaranteed quality part. So it's not even its original one. Either way, I'm going to clean it up a bit more and get it on the car. So now it's time to refit, which is pretty much the same as undoing it. So we'll start with the plug. Plug's on. Gasket to the bottom. Make sure you get the gasket on, don't forget it. So pull that up. Make sure you do everything finger tight as well, because most of it's aluminium. You don't want to be stripping any threads. I always tend to find it easier to put the bolts that go down in first, leave them loose, but enough that they're on the threads, and then put the other four in. that way. Makes life much easier. And like I said, don't cross thread anything, do everything by hand. Because you will not be happy if you cross thread them. I think I dropped a bolt when I took them all out, so now I need to go on the floor and find it, but once I've nipped it all up, I'll show you and then we'll give it a test. So now it's back together. I haven't put the bracket on yet, because obviously I don't know what I'm going to do about the blanking plate at the moment. I will show you the blanking plate shortly. But the car's back together, like I said. So we're going to go into the car, and we're going to fire her up. Well, no, we're not. We're going to clear the code, fire her up, see if the code comes back. So that's the plan. Whoa. It's toasty, man. It's 25.5 degrees, it says. So, ignition on, which is just a case of putting the block of key in. I'm going to turn the radio down. The radio's down. This Majobi. Okay, let's clear the code. So we left it on last time. I believe it came up in ECU 2 on this list. I don't know why there's 2. It should be there. It is. Flow insufficient detected. I am not surprised now I've seen it. I'm going to clear that code. It's been erased. Quickly, no, not erased. Quickly read again just in case. Alright, it's not there. Let's fire it up. And as it stands at the moment, he's off, which is good. That is good. Now I'm dubious whether I want to blank it or not, because I need to know whether it's actually working. Because if I blanked it and it wasn't working, then I'll still have an engine management light come on, but another reason, whatever that reason would be, probably same again. I'm impressed that the light's gone off. I am very impressed. Very impressed. So I said in the video that I had a blanking plate, and this is it. So what it is a piece of metal that's cut out to be the perfect shape of the EGR. This is the inlet side. Sometimes you can get the ones that go on the pipe that comes up into the EGR. This one is one that goes actually on the inlet side. So the reason why it's got holes is it reduces the amount of soot that travels through the EGR but doesn't blank it completely. So you shouldn't get any error messages that say insufficient flow or blocked or anything like that. I think the total size has to be something like 10mm holes, because I remember I've drilled them in the past and I'm sure I put a 10mm hole, but that was on the bottom one that flew into the actual EGR. So I can't remember if that should work perfectly fine, because it's got enough flow, enough holes in it. But it just means that you don't have to have it remapped out and permanently turned off and stuff like that. So that's what the blanking plate's for. I will say, those that's going to ask about removing EGR valve systems and stuff like that, as far as I'm aware now, it'll fail any MOT, where that sort of plate won't fail an MOT because it will still change the emissions without blocking up the inlet as much. I don't know if it will change it to the point where it might fail because it's not letting enough gases through. I don't know the testing on that, so I could be wrong in what I'm saying, but it'll keep the engine management light off. And obviously they've now made it so engine management lights are a fail on an MOT. So anyway, let's carry on. I've just spotted something that I need to fix while I'm in here, so we may as well do it on this video. So I'm going to get a screwdriver and I'll be back. So what have I got? See this here? How it's all broken and smashed? Well, they were 90 quid on eBay. I managed to get one second hand for like 40 quid from someone breaking a car. So because I think it's broke with people slamming that up and broke this edge off because it's quite fragile, but I'm going to replace it because then we've fixed something, we've fitted something that's fixed, and we've done a good job. So I'm going to get that on and I'll be back with you once I fitted it. It's just held in with 3 screws. I assume it was held in with something else that's probably broke. there as well, and then it's this one clip. The broken one is away. Get our replacement one. Put the one clip in. One clip to rule them all. And she's in. Now it's just a case of putting the screws back in. Job's a good one. Oh, and I dropped the trim on the floor. So this should then go back on. Ow. So this is actually broke. That's what that screw was in the other one. That plastic off there broke, you see. So what did that screw actually do on that one? Right. So I'm missing that bit, which should be in there. So I can steal it off of there at least. Push that into there, and I'll have two of the prongs attaching it. And I'll quickly do that. Right, I think we can try again now. Push that into there. Right, so I've got two holding now at least, and that's broke. Gently put it up. Clip, clip. Hey presto, that was loads better. Although that's actually got a crack in it as well. God damn it. Well, it's still better than the other one that we had. Much better. Right, so I'm going to wrap this video up now. Or shall I wrap it up in the garage? No, I'll wrap it up here. Yeah, so we've sorted the engine management light out. Cleaned the EGR valve, refitted it, cleared the code, not come back. Awesome, so that's a fix. Fixed an oil leak. Still a bit unsure about the oil leaks. I've actually put some silicone seal around it to try and help. Shouldn't need it, but I'll put it on top as well. And then we've fitted that piece of trim. So all in all, very happy with that. Just want to say the other weekend I had a couple of subscribers come up. One travelled all the way up from Southampton and then stayed at the local hotel to see me all weekend. So that's Terry. And then we had a lad called Warren who came across from Oldham, and he came up on the Saturday to see me and Terry. Now, it's awesome to meet you guys, but me and Terry and Warren have been playing Xbox now for nearly a year because I asked you guys who plays Xbox, and you sent me some gamer tags, and we've been playing ever since. And then I finally met him, which was freaking sweet. It's awesome to finally meet some people that have watched my videos and I've talked to for absolutely, you know, a hell of a long time and know a lot about them. It was nice to finally meet them, and it was freaking awesome. So guys, I have to say thank you very much for coming up and seeing me. Really appreciate it. It was awesome. Warren has asked me to do a couple of different styled intros and a couple of videos coming up, which I will be doing just because it's funny. I don't see why not. I'm quite happy. Car's happy. Good. So that's a good end to the video, I think. So make sure you stay humble, everyone. Always stay humble. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't, why have you not? Do it. Smash that subscribe button and then press the bell to get notifications, because apparently YouTube changed its algorithms a while ago. So even when you subscribe to someone, it doesn't even tell you anymore when they've released a new video. You have to press notifications, and then you get said notification when new videos have been released. So please do that. Stay humble. I'll see you in another video. Ciao.